Welcome back to Wellness with Ashti, the podcast where we cut through the clutter of the wellness world and give you clear science-based nutrition facts. Today, we're talking about the gut. What is the gut? Why is it important? Signs of an unhealthy gut. And finally, how to improve your gut. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear understanding about what the gut is, what it needs, and how taking care of your gut can impact so many other things in your body like sleep, anxiety, autoimmune conditions, and lots more. So many of us know that when we experience some discomfort, whether it's bloating or gas or diarrhea, it's most likely the gut which is the problem. But not many people know that gut health impacts so much more than digestion. Recent studies show that the gut is in fact the second brain, and it has the power to impact your mental health, your immune health, and many other systems in your body. And this is what is so fascinating about the gut, that it has the power to impact so many of our systems in our body, which is why I wanted to do a deep dive on this topic to help you understand the importance of gut health and how basic lifestyle changes can make such a big impact and difference to our gut health. So let's start with what is the gut. The gut, or the gastrointestinal tract, is a tract that starts from your mouth and ends at your colon. So basically from entry to exit, everything is the gut. Now, the primary functions of the gut is breaking down the food we eat, absorbing nutrients, and expelling waste. But beyond these basic roles, the gut is also home to trillions of microorganisms, and this is known as the gut microbiome. I think most of us have heard about the term gut microbiome because it's been such a trending topic in the last few years. So let's talk about what is the gut microbiome. In simple terms, the gut microbiome basically includes bacteria, fungi, viruses, and all of them play a really important role in breaking down the food we eat and producing essential nutrients for our bodies. So when we talk about gut health, a healthy gut basically means there is a balance of a diverse range of microorganisms. You must have heard of the term good bacteria and bad bacteria. And people assume that the bad bacteria should be completely eradicated. But in fact, the bad bacteria also play a role and they are important in the gut. The idea is that we need to have a balance of the good and bad bacteria coexisting because they both are crucial for a healthy microbiome. So how do you know when your microbiome is happy? You're basically not going to experience bloating or gas and constipation on a regular basis because it's not normal to have these symptoms regularly. But more importantly, our gut is also home to 80% of our nervous system. This is why I mentioned earlier that the gut is basically the second brain, and the gut and the brain are constantly in communication. So what happens in the gut affects our mood and mental health. And when I learned this, I was just so fascinated by it. You know, when you're nervous before a big event and you feel butterflies in your stomach, that's literally the gut talking to the brain. So essentially, if you're depressed or have anxiety, the first thing you should do is look into your gut health and your diet. This is something I experienced firsthand when I turned plant-based. And I was basically following a diet that was kind of healthy, but I didn't eat too many fruits and vegetables. I also ate a lot of meat. And when I switched my diet around, I basically started eating a lot more fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And in a few months, I noticed that my anxiety had reduced. At this point, I didn't even realize that it was because of my diet. But later on, as I studied nutrition more in depth, I realized that I had completely changed my diet. And this was really helping my gut and therefore my mental health. So if any of you have experienced something like this, that when you changed up your diet to incorporate more fruits and vegetables and you noticed changes in your mental health, let me know in the comments. So let's talk about some signs of an unhealthy gut. The first one is stomach upsets, which basically means you constantly have gas, bloating, diarrhea, or even constipation. This is a definite sign that your gut is impacted. The second one is food intolerances. For example, if you notice you have an issue digesting certain food, then it's most likely an imbalance in your microbiome. It could obviously also be an allergy, but in both cases, it is connected to the gut. The third is extreme sugar cravings. The fourth sign of an unhealthy gut is unexplained weight changes. So, if you notice that you're suddenly losing or gaining a lot of weight without any conscious changes that you have made, then it's a sign that you need to look into the gut. For example, people with SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, might notice that they are suddenly losing a lot of weight. The next sign is nutrient deficiencies. A lot of nutrients are made in the gut, like vitamin B12 and vitamin K. So, in spite of eating a healthy diet, you notice that you are low in these nutrients, then it could be an imbalance in the gut bacteria, which is to blame. The next sign is autoimmune conditions. So 70% of our immune system lies in the gut, which is why conditions like eczema, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis all have some connection to our gut microbiome. So if you have any of these symptoms, just know that it is possible to work on it and even reverse it to some extent. Obviously, if you have an autoimmune condition, then reversing it would take a lot of time and effort. But I just want to share that it is possible. So now let's talk about the 5 ways you can improve your gut health. Some of these tips might seem very simple, but they are quite impactful. Also, this is going to be quite detailed, so maybe take some notes so you can make the changes effectively. I'm also linking a handout below, which basically walks you through some of these tips so you can print it out and have it handy so this information is easily absorbed by you. So I want to start with something called eating hygiene. And a lot of you might not have heard of this term before. So stick with me, I'm going to explain it to you in detail. So eating hygiene basically means how we eat, because our mouth is the first step in the digestion process. And the way we eat our food plays a big role in our digestion. Let me explain this by asking you a few questions to help you understand this, and then we can dig deeper. So, do you eat food while you're traveling? Do you eat dinner so quickly that you barely tasted your food? Do you eat while watching TV and forget that you've even eaten? While all of these may seem harmless, but they do impact our digestion because the first step in digestion begins in the mouth. And this is something not many people realize, that it is also the only step of digestion that we have control over. So basically this means how fast we eat, how much we chew our food, and how present we are during our meals all play a big role in our digestion. So now that you understand the importance of eating hygiene, let's talk about 4 ways that we can improve our eating hygiene, which will improve your digestion and can even eliminate a lot of the symptoms that we face. So the first thing we can do to improve our eating hygiene is to slow down. Take your time to eat. I know it's easier said than done, especially if we grew up in a big family and we had to fight for seconds or even dessert, or if we're constantly preoccupied with work, with kids, with everything that's going on in our home. But here's the thing, digestion takes time and it's crucial for your digestive system to function properly. It takes about 20 minutes for your gut to signal to the brain that it's full. And this is thanks to a hormone called CCK. For example, you finish your meal in 10 minutes, you're most likely to overeat because your brain hasn't caught up with your stomach yet. And this will leave you feeling bloated later because most likely you've overeaten. So one way of slowing down while you're eating is to get in the habit of putting your spoon and your fork down every time you take a bite, and maybe relaxing into your chair a bit after each bite of food. Supposing you are eating with your family or friends, just start up a conversation, obviously not with food in your mouth. And after you swallow, take 1 or 2 deep breaths before you enjoy another bite. Now, this might sound like it wouldn't make such an impact, but trust me, this simple but effective practice helps us pay more attention to our food and our bodies while we're eating. The next thing you can do to improve your eating hygiene is chewing. Now, on an average, we chew a bite of food only about 6 times before we swallow. But we should be chewing our food about 20 times until it's almost liquid. Because like I mentioned earlier, chewing and eating is the only thing in the digestive process that we can control. So the less we chew our food, the harder the GI tract has to work. And if we chew our food less, then it's going to lead to gas and feeling bloated. The third way we can improve our eating hygiene is to prioritize mindful eating. Now, what this means is to sit down and focus on your meal. Avoid multitasking while eating to ensure that your body is in a relaxed state. Our body can only digest food when it's in a parasympathetic state, which means that we need to be relaxed to activate all those digestive enzymes. One of the best ways I think we can incorporate mindful eating is by eating with our hands. This is considered a tradition in a lot of countries in Asia and India. And honestly, I think there are so many benefits to it, even though the West might think it's unhygienic. But in reality, eating with your hands is such a beautiful way of connecting with our food. But this simple act of eating with your hands will encourage you to pay attention to the smell, the taste, and textures even more. It can also help you to reduce overeating because now all your senses are activated and your brain is giving you the signal that it is full, and you are more likely to listen to that signal. Because digestion begins before we even put the food into our mouth. It happens when we look at the food, we make a connection, and then our mouth starts releasing saliva, and this is a signal to the brain and the gut that it is ready for the food. The fourth tip I have for you is to limit drinking during your meals. Now, drinking too much water or any liquids during your meals can dilute your stomach acid, and this will slow down your digestion. So make sure to drink water maybe 20 minutes before a meal and 30 minutes after a meal. But don't make meal times as your primary time to hydrate. Of course, you can have a few sips here and there, but not too much. So now that we've covered the first step in the digestion process, which is eating hygiene, let's talk about some other ways that we can support our gut. Now, I'm sure you might have heard that fiber is really good for our gut health. So let's talk about what fiber is, why it's important, and how to eat more of it. So fiber is basically a carbohydrate that cannot be digested by our bodies. It's found in plant foods like vegetables, grains, fruits, and legumes. But unlike other carbs, it cannot be broken down by our body, and it passes through the digestive system intact. Now, this might make it seem like it's useless and doesn't have a purpose. But in fact, fiber is incredibly important for several reasons. So you know how we spoke about the gut microbiome having trillions of bacteria? Well, these bacteria feed on the fiber and then convert it into important nutrients in our body. So if you want a happy gut, you have to feed the bacteria in your gut with fiber. That's the most important thing. Now, apart from feeding the gut bacteria, fiber is also important because it regulates our bowel movements and it helps in reducing constipation. It's also really good at helping us feel satiated, which means that a diet rich in fiber will keep us full for longer and can even help us reduce weight. Science also shows that fiber helps reduce cholesterol by slowing down the absorption of cholesterol in our bloodstream. So you get the idea that fiber is crucial, and most of us fall short of the recommended amount of fiber per day. We should be eating close to 25 to 35 grams of fiber, but a large amount of us aren't getting that much. Here are some practical tips to boost your fiber intake. The first is to eat more fruits and vegetables. Aim for at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables each day, and make sure you're including a variety of types and colors. Some bacteria in your gut like bananas, some bacteria in your gut like zucchini. I wouldn't recommend eating the same fruits and vegetables week after week because this doesn't really promote a healthy microbiome. The one thing that research has shown is that variety is very important. The next thing we can do is to swap all our refined carbohydrates for whole grains. This means that we should be getting rid of our maida or have it very sparingly and choose whole grains, millets, rice, quinoa, and those kind of whole grains. The third thing we can do is to include more legumes in our diet. Now, legumes are beans, lentils, peas. All of these are excellent sources of fiber, and we should be eating them every day and a variety of them. The fourth way we can increase fiber is to eat more nuts and seeds. For example, almonds, chia seeds, flax seeds, and sunflower seeds are great sources of fiber and they're such a good snack options. Personally, for me, I start my day with a high fiber breakfast and this has been game changing. I either have a bowl of oats or a large smoothie and this gives me about 15 to 20 grams of fiber, which basically sets me up for the day. The handout I've linked below also has a lot more information about fiber and which foods are high in it. So make sure you check that out, download it for yourself. So now that we've spoken about eating hygiene and fiber, let's talk about the third way we can help our gut. And this is to eat more prebiotics and probiotics. I'm sure most people have heard of both of these terms, but I'm going to explain it in detail. So remember how I explained that fiber is basically food for the gut bacteria? Well, one type of fiber which really helps the good bacteria to grow and flourish is called prebiotics. So prebiotics are mainly found in foods like onion, garlic, leeks, bananas, potatoes, beans, and whole grains. Make sure you're eating these kinds of foods. Now, probiotics is a term that is a lot more common and many people understand that probiotics come from fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, pickles, and kefir. Now, probiotics are basically the good gut bacteria and consuming these foods will help increase the population of good bacteria in your gut. But I want to add something that while probiotics are important, prebiotics are equally important. Because think of it this way, if you're consuming fermented foods and increasing the good bacteria, but you're not giving the good bacteria any food in the form of probiotics, then the good bacteria is most likely going to die out after some time. So make sure that both of them are part of your regular diet. Okay, now that we know how to help the gut, let's talk about the things we should limit when it comes to gut health. And obviously, totally eliminating these things might not be possible or practical, but the idea is to be conscious and consume them in smaller amounts. So the first thing we should be limiting is red meat and processed meat. Now, excessive consumption of red meat can lead to the production of something called metabolites, which are basically associated with higher risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer. According to the World Cancer Research Fund, it's recommended to limit your red meat intake to about 350 to 500 grams per week. So try incorporating more plant-based protein sources like beans and lentils and tofu to balance your diet. The next thing we should be limiting is processed foods. Processed foods such as refined breads, ready-made meals, chips, all of them have a lot of additives and preservatives, and this can really impact your gut microbiome. These substances can harm the mucus lining of the gut and prevent the growth of beneficial bacteria. So my advice is to opt for whole unprocessed foods whenever possible. The next thing we can do is limit our artificial sweeteners. Now, artificial sweeteners might seem like a healthier alternative to sugar, but they can negatively impact your gut health. So sweeteners like erythritol, aspartame, and sucralose. All of these sweeteners can alter the gut microbiome. So it's best to reduce the consumption of these artificially sweetened beverages or foods as much as possible. Now, my next advice is to please be mindful of diet fads and detoxes. There are so many trendy diets that are available on Instagram and social media, and all of these have become super popular online, but some of these can be harmful to your gut health. For example, a juice cleanse might lack fiber and protein, which is crucial for our healthy gut. So make sure to approach these diets mindfully, and it would be best to do it under the supervision of a qualified nutritionist or a doctor. The last tip I have for you is to limit your use of antibiotics. So the thing with antibiotics is that they not only kill the bad bacteria, but they also kill the good guys. Now, that's not a good thing because you're going to lose a lot of diversity in your gut microbiome. And like I mentioned earlier, diversity is one of the most important things for a healthy microbiome. You won't believe that statistics show that almost 30 to 40% of antibiotic prescriptions are not even necessary. So please be a little mindful of antibiotics and take them only if you really require them. If you have recently been on a course of antibiotics, then make sure you double down on all the tips I mentioned earlier for improving your gut health, which is number 1, increasing your fiber. Number 2, eating a diverse range of plants. Number 3, increasing your probiotics and prebiotics. So make sure you're eating fermented foods as well as probiotics. And also remember to limit your sugar and alcohol and junk foods and even saturated fats. Besides all of this, as a holistic nutrition who understands the mind-body connection, there is also the fact that stress can have a big impact on our gut health. So while eating healthy can improve your mood and reduce your anxiety, which means that the gut affects the brain, but the reverse is also true. So if someone is constantly stressed, that will affect their gut microbiome. Some things we can all do to reduce stress is to spend more time in nature, reduce our use of social media, try to meditate regularly, and also exercise. All of these play a really important role in reducing stress and therefore improving gut health. So I hope this episode has been helpful to you. Let me know in the comments. And it's important to understand that improving your gut health doesn't require drastic changes. By adopting good eating hygiene, increasing our fiber and prebiotic intake, incorporating more probiotics, avoiding harmful substances like alcohol and the ones I mentioned earlier, managing your stress, all of these can really be beneficial to you in supporting a healthier gut. However, if you are someone dealing with IBS or SIBO and other gut-related issues, then make sure to reach out to a health practitioner who can help you not only manage your symptoms, but get to the root cause of them. Because honestly, the gut is connected to every organ of the body through something called the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is the largest nerve in the body, and it basically flows from the brain to the gut and is connected to other organs like the lungs, the heart, and other such organs. Something that we have learned in functional medicine is to always look into the gut, even if the symptom is manifesting as something else. Let me give you an example. Say you have heartburn or acid reflux. You would normally take a pill or a medicine for it, but a holistic approach would be to identify the root cause of this condition, and more often than not, it is likely connected to the gut. So remember, a healthy gut leads to better digestion, improved immune function, and better mental and physical health, which is why gut health is really important. Thank you for tuning in today. I'll see you in the next episode of Wellness with Ashti. And if there is a topic that you would like me to debunk or cover more of, let me know in the comments. And please subscribe if you liked the episode. Share it with a friend who might find it useful. Thanks for tuning in.